Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm Rags. I'm a dog. I have got something for you today. Someone in the Discord sent me this really amazing, fun article to read. I haven't tackled an article in a while, so let's do it. Let's do that together. Let's read through this short little article, and let's see how I can find a way to turn this into an hour-long enterprise. Just to let you guys know, I'm trying to put this video together fairly quickly, so apologize if it in any way appears to be slapdash. I will be gone and out of town for a while, about a week or so, and I wanted to try and get a video out here before I departed on my aircraft to my destination. Let's take a look at this article from The Gamer. Ooh, can you believe it? The Gamer. I know that guy, The Gamer. He's a racist, and he hates women and minorities. Ugh, what a jerk. What a real jerk The Gamer is. This article is titled, "There's No Hope for Anyone Who Plays Starfield as a Cop." Ugh. Fun fact, if any of you ever become a professional writer, like Ben Sledge here is a professional writer, all of you, of course, know, as professional writers, that in the title of your article, you do not capitalize articles, coordinated conjunctions, and prepositions with fewer than 4 letters. But we all knew that, of course. Ben knows that. He just messed up on purpose to keep you and I on our toes. Big shout out to Ben Sledge for laying these little landmines for us to keep us sharp. Rest easy, Ben. We picked up on your clever, clever trap. I'm all for exploring different roleplay options, but who chooses being a cop over a space pirate? You know, Ben, that's a good question. It's one that I often ask myself in the wee hours of the night as I stare up at the ceiling, laying in bed. But maybe here, with this article, you can put that quandary to rest, and I can finally get some sleep. You can be anything that you want to be. You don't have to use that. Believe in yourself. Follow your dreams. And don't let anyone stop you. You know what, Ben? You and I are in agreement. 100%. Believe in yourself. Believe to achieve. Don't let your memes be dreams. After all, I'm doing what I love. I love the YouTube and podcasting life. I love it. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It brings me joy. It waters my crops. And in the same way, what else would Ben Sledge rather be doing with his life than writing anti-cop articles on gaming websites? This is his calling. This brings him sustenance. Sweet, sweet Ben. We are not so different, you and I. It's a good idea to start your article with this empowering message to gamers everywhere. Gamers are, of course, the most oppressed class. Gamers, don't be afraid. There's more of us than you think. You must rise up against the oppression. Ye huddled masses yearning to break free. Write that novel. Launch that singing career at your local's karaoke night in front of a load of old men. Cook the best mushroom risotto that your friends have ever tasted. I get it. Sometimes real life gets in the way of these platitudes, but I have full confidence that you can achieve every goal you set your mind to. You know what, Ben? Thank you for believing in me. Your words of inspiration, no matter how seemingly negligible, they are the tiny little snowflakes that will create the avalanche of my well-executed endeavors. Ben says that goes double for anything you want to do in Starfield. An inspiring beginning to this article. You get high marks from me. This is masterful stuff. This is the kind of message that gamers everywhere need to hear. You're doing God's work, Ben. Games and RPGs in particular often allow you to do anything you want, or be anyone you want. Well, that's what it says on the box, Ben, but who knows how deep that really goes. From the moment you load up the game, you're often given a character creator, which allows you to customize your appearance, stats, backstories, and a whole bunch of other options. In the game itself, your choices will likely reflect the character you're trying to be. Whether it's Mass Effect's Paragon system deciding whether you're a goodie or baddie, which faction you team up with in Fallout 4. RPGs love giving you difficult choices to help shape your character, and none more so than Bethesda. That's a pretty strong claim to say that none do it more than Bethesda, though I will say, actually, that I don't think that Fallout 4 is a good example for an RPG that loves giving you difficult choices to help shape your character. Pretty sure just the Railroad and the Minutemen are the only morally good choices to make, and the others are maybe not so much. I think if you look at it from a moral standpoint, it's really difficult for you to choose incorrectly when it comes to Fallout 4. Probably a bit of a weakness of the story in that regard, at least. But, I haven't played that game in years. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is a much, much more nuanced kind of decision than I'm giving it credit. But I don't remember it being so. Alright, let's see, blah, blah, blah. You can be a vigilante, dealing out swift justice among the stars. You can take down space capitalists on their super yacht-sized luxury spacecraft. Well, I mean, okay. You can be a pirate, or you can be a cop. Alright, Ben, sweet Ben, I think, and I may be wrong, but I'm gonna make a prediction. I think that everyone in space is going to be a capitalist. I think that 99% of people in space are going to be space capitalists. Now, I know you're going to try and denigrate it here. Already, it seems to be the case. But just because you're rich, that doesn't mean that that's what a capitalist is. You can take down space capitalists on their super yachts. I was like, well, let's be frank, right? All of the people working on the yacht are capitalists, and all of the people everywhere else are probably capitalists too, right? That's the way of the world. And if YouTube and Twitch has taught me anything, socialism's greatest advocates often tend to be among the most shrewd of capitalists. All right. I don't know how to verbalize the picture, so there you go. I already know what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a space pirate. A pirate in space. You can't tell me that any other fictional occupation in Bethesda's NASA punk will be as cool as becoming the love child of Blackbeard and Neil Armstrong. So that's what I'm going to be. I can be anything I want, remember? Yes, Ben, we remember. You did tell us that just moments ago. And it seems like you're already trying to be defensive about your choice. Ben, if you want to be a space pirate in Bethesda's upcoming space-themed role-playing game, Starfield, then by all means, Ben, sweet Ben, it's okay. You can be a space pirate. You don't have to defend your decisions. It's a video game. Most gamers, you see, most actual gamers out there in the real world, in the real life, in the proper wilderness, you don't have to constantly justify and defend yourself preemptively for all the decisions that you make. It's a video game. It's fine, Ben. Don't worry about it. Relax. I don't know who you hang around all the time where you're constantly checking yourself and you have to constantly defend yourself and preemptively be defensive. But don't worry, Ben. It's fine. I was sold on the life of space piracy when I first heard the name, and doubled down on the idea when Bethesda showed off some of the boarding options for spacecraft in the game. Maybe I'll be a master negotiator pirate, bartering my way on board unsuspecting vessels before pulling out my laser pistol and just starting blasting. You know what, Ben? That sounds fun. I always like those charisma builds, sneaking in, you know, whipping out the gun when they least expected, talking your way into cool places, using your guile and subversion and charisma to get your way. I think that's far more interesting than just pew-pew guns a-blazing. And for such a masterful wordsmith as you, Ben Sledge, I think you'll do fantastic at that. Maybe I'll be more honest about my motivations, blowing ships out of the atmosphere and looting their carcasses, or boarding with a bloodthirsty crew all armed to the teeth. Ben writes, "One thing I know for sure is that no ship in the system will be safe from my wrath, and that fancy schmancy cruise liner is the first in line for a break-in. I'll steal, loot, and plunder, wow, all three of those, my way across the galaxy, and there's nothing you can do to stop me." You know what, Ben? Those are some really bold words. It seems as if you've got this all planned out in your head. Very practically, I think. You're really looking forward to Bethesda's upcoming space-themed role-playing game, Starfield. Though I will say, Ben, fantasy as it may be, you're getting a little bloodthirsty here. Talking about blowing up ships, bloodthirsty crews, whipping out guns. Oof, I wouldn't want to be around when you're around, Ben. I certainly wouldn't want to be traversing the galaxy having a gay old time when you show up. Oh, you're going to take all my stuff and blow up my ship. That's no fun. But you know, Ben, you seem very confident that there's nothing that I can do to stop you, or that anyone can do to stop you. And you know, I remember how this article began. I can believe you're a very confident person. Believe to achieve, Ben. Motivation is a powerful tool. Someone will try to stop me, I assume. That would be the cops. It was previously revealed that you could play Starfield as a cop, an insider on a pirate vessel leaking information to the authorities. That's fine. I'll need an enemy in my playthrough, but I can't for the life of me understand why anyone would play as a cop in their game. Uh-oh, Ben. Uh-oh, Ben. All of that imagination, all of that sheer force of will, all of those big-brained ideas that you had. And you can't imagine why? You can't understand why anyone would play a game as a member of law enforcement? You really don't think you could put it together? If I gave you, Ben, 100 space dollars, do you think, Ben, for 100 space dollars, you maybe could understand why anyone would play as a cop in their game? Because me, Ben, I think that both of these ideas could be very neat in concept. They could be very exciting, but in different ways, like cops and robbers, right? On one side, you have the pirates, right? They're trying to avoid the army and law enforcement. They're trying to pick on smaller ships and use ambush tactics to get all the loot and booty and money and valuables they can from unsuspecting victims and then get away before the alarm is raised, before the cops show up, before the army arrives. Or I guess it'd be the Navy if we're talking astral terminology, I suppose. That sounds exciting. And then on the other side, right, you have the cops, the one who are trying to track down the pirates. Not just when they strike, but when they're not actually in the middle of a heist, right? We're trying to find out where the contraband is. We're trying to make sure that everyone follows the law. We're trying to protect law and order, keep people safe, stop those pirates. And if they get in a fight with the pirates, they got to do everything they can to not have, like, collateral damage or having an innocent person get killed, right? They have to work within the bounds of more restrictions, right? Because they're like a federal organization, you know. Both sides, a space cop or a space pirate, they would operate with like rules and with stipulations and built-in challenges, and that is where the fun could be. And an asymmetrical space-themed game of cat and mouse, potentially. Come on, Ben, you're a gamer. Use that imagination. Ben goes on. When given the option of a space pirate or a police officer, which sounds more fun? You know, that's a good question, Ben. I think they both sound very fun. In concept, both of those sound like they could be really cool, actually. Like, honestly, I think that both of those present their own unique challenges that could be fun to explore. Let's see. Looting freely, looting freely, redistributing the universe's unequal wealth, and making a barbarous name for yourself? Oh, because that's what pirates do. You're right. Pirates were not bloodthirsty thieves. They weren't barbaric murderers and killers who were just out to steal things and make themselves rich at the expense of everyone else. You're right. They're just out there. You're going to be the ethical pirate. You're going to be the Robin Hood of space. I'm sure that's how you'll see yourself. No. I'm not a pirate. I'm not stealing anything. I'm redistributing the universe's unequal wealth from those filthy capitalists. You see, I'm fighting back against the system that literally got us to the stars. And, you know, I don't know that much about Starfield. Maybe Starfield is setting up this idea that the people in charge, the government, the man, all the corporations, maybe they are just super duper evil and they're extremely exploitative and they really are bad, awful organizations. And you are, in a way, justified being a pirate and taking from them to even the odds. Maybe that is the case. Maybe that is the case. But I also get this feeling, this little in the back of my head, this little that tells me that you probably think that about all corporations now on actual planet Earth, don't you? Oh, Ben, silly you. Let's see. Or, right, Ben asks if you were given the option, would you want to be working for the man by rounding up petty criminals and pointing your gun at children to I think I'm discovering what sweet Benjamin Sledge thinks of the members of law enforcement. He seems to have a very, very negative view of the cops. Let's see, pointing your gun at children to make yourself feel bigger before returning home to your loveless marriage to have perfunctory sex with your boring partner? Oh my goodness, Ben. Tell us. Point on the doll to where the police officer touched you. Oh my goodness. I think Ben is I think he's really upset that cops exist. One of the things I find interesting is the way that he phrases what he will do as a pirate, right? A barbarous name for himself, and blowing up ships and leaving their carcasses in space to loot, and sneaking on the ships and pulling out his gun to hold people up. You know, that's okay. That's fun. That's fun and everything, because it's the cops who point their guns at children and round up petty criminals, and they have loveless marriages. But not me. No, not me. Ben Sledge, the space pirate. No. I don't swoop in to unsuspecting innocent ships and pull out my gun and blow them up in ambushes to feel like I'm the bigger man. No, not me. That's a very brave and exciting thing to do, you see, swooping in and exploding a luxury yacht. But those pesky cops who are coming after me to stop me from my reign of terror in space, no. They just want to point guns at children to make themselves feel bigger. Oh, Ben, you should have tried harder. Because you, Ben, you would never ever board an innocent person's ship and point a gun at a child. You never do that, because you're the ethical pirate. You're engaging in ethical piracy when you blow up those ships. There's probably never any children on those ships you want to blow up, right? No. You're the space pirate who's redistributing the universe's unequal wealth. You're not even doing this for you. You're doing it for the poors. You're doing it for the lower class. You're doing it for the workers of space. You don't enjoy this one bit. In fact, you hate that you have to do it, but it's your duty. It's your duty to the human race. All right, I know which I'm choosing, says Ben, and I'm not going to be a cop, not even to roleplay some good apple or a corrupt vigilante trying to fix the system. That's right, Ben. That's right. Being a good cop, they don't even exist, I bet. There's no such thing as a good cop. And a corrupt vigilante trying to fix the system? Pff, to hell with that. I mean, you even mentioned Mass Effect earlier on in your article. Isn't Garrus Vakarian pretty much the corrupt vigilante trying to fix the system? Or at least work outside of the system so that justice does get delivered? He was one of the most interesting characters in that trilogy. And who would want to roleplay as a loser like Garrus Vakarian? Alien space boyfriend. Because Rex can't be there all the time. Ben says that you can be anything you want to be, anything in the entire universe, and you choose law enforcement? I worry about you. Exactly, Ben. I worry about anybody who would want to pretend to be law enforcement in a video game, who would want to jump into a game to hunt down the pirates, to stop the illegal actions, to protect people, and to uphold law and order. The kind of people who see a pirate attack and want to stop it and protect the innocent? I worry about those kinds of people. What is wrong with their brains? Because remember, pointing a gun at a child is bad, unless, of course, it's a pirate doing it. Pirates were famous for never pointing their weapons at innocent people, you see. And I'm not going to say that cops don't do it, but I think that we can both agree, surely, that these things happen within different contexts. You see, I don't know if I've ever really talked about it, right? But I actually really respect the cops and law enforcement, and I want as many good cops as possible, because, quite frankly, we need people out there who are the police. We need people out there who are upholding the law. Society would descend into utter fucking chaos if we didn't have people who did those risky and dangerous jobs. And there are few people that I think of lower than dirty cops. I think that the police, as important as they are, should be held to a very high standard. I think any police officer who becomes corrupt or takes advantage of the system or takes advantage of people who are innocent, I think they should face the full force of the law. I think that is a serious affront to the basis of civilization. There are few people I think lesser of than corrupt cops. However, this means that we should revere, respect the good cops. We should encourage them to work within the system. We should encourage them to be just and to have upstanding morals, to be good and virtuous people. This idea of demonizing the entirety of law enforcement because some of them are bad, because there might be problems within those organizations. You are not going to foster good apples and good cops and virtuous, upstanding members of law enforcement if they get demonized no matter what. Because I have a feeling, I've got that little voice, here he is, that little voice in the back of my head. He's whispering to my mind. I have a feeling that the first time you're in trouble, the first time you get robbed, or you're in a car accident, or someone tries to rob you or take advantage of you, I have this little feeling that the first people you are going to call are the cops. And you know what? Despite what you seem to feel about them, I hope that they do everything in their power to help you and to bring you justice. After all, Ben, what if pirates attacked you? Wouldn't you want the cops to come and save you, to protect you, to bring those pirates to justice? Anyway, point being, I respect the police, but I know my rights. I know my rights, copper. But I respect the police. We should venerate the good and castigate the bad. You know, Ben, it would be one thing for you to say that you just don't really see the appeal in playing as law enforcement in a game like this, which I can totally understand. Maybe it's just not a play style or a set of challenges that you think would be fun. I think it is totally reasonable for you to say that you just don't see the appeal. It's not the kind of thing that you would enjoy, right? But you don't even say that. You say to those people who would want to play as the police in the game that you worry about them. That they're psychopaths in the making, maybe. There's some stain on their soul. That they're just sad, terrible people who want to prey on the weak. Not like the pirates. No, that's not what the pirates do, of course. That's what the cops do, you see. And even for those who have the most cynical of cynical outlooks on the police, surely we can at least be reasonable and say that that's what the pirates do, right? Ben says that maybe I'm being a little harsh. Indeed, Ben, maybe you are. Maybe you should take a long look in the mirror and think about your thoughts. The choice isn't between space pirate and cop, it's between space pirate and space cop. You got me. My bias is showing. But a pirate is cooler than a cop, so a space pirate is, by extension, cooler than a space cop. Checkmate. Indeed, Ben, you got me there. Who could argue with logic like that? I'm sure people will play Starfield as space cops, but I won't pretend I get it. There's not even any PvP action in the game, so it's not as if you're getting the thrill of ruining someone else's fun. You see, Ben, this line here, it betrays your thinking, right? You've laid your lack of imagination and your lack of understanding bare for the world to see. Well, not the world, like 4 people will probably read this. I mean, this video that I'm doing is probably signal boosting your article more than anything else. You're welcome, by the way. There are links in the description to my Patreon and Subscribestar if you wish to reward me in any way. It'll get you access to my Discord. Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be fun, Ben? The fact that you think that being a space cop, or not even that, a player playing as a space cop is only about ruining other people's fun. That the only reason to be a space cop would be to play against other humans in the game and to ruin their fun. When I go into Battlefield, when I go into StarCraft, when I go into any other game, right, and I'm playing against other people, my goal is for me to win. It's to lift myself up, right? My goal isn't to just ruin someone else's day. Now, I'll be honest, there are times when I get giddy as can be when I finally get that person who's killed me a few times, or when that guy has a big streak in his tank and I'm able to blow it up finally. There is a satisfaction that comes with knocking down another player a few pegs, with putting a dampener on his fun time. I'm not going to act like I'm some perfectly virtuous, angelic creature, but it's of course not my primary goal. These things are often secondary, they're emergent to the gameplay. Especially if you come across other players who are very, very, high-horsed. Can I say that? High-horsed? You know what I mean by that, right? There is an incredible satisfaction that comes with someone who's talking mad shit in the chat about how I'm good, y'all suck, you stink, this team's and then you nail them and you get them frustrated because you showed up in the lobby and actually you're the top dog. I'm not going to pretend that that doesn't happen because it does, and I revel in that experience. But Ben, oh ye of little imagination, if you think the only reason someone would play as the police in a PvP game would be just to have the thrill of ruining someone else's fun, oh Ben, you come across as childish, you lack imagination, you're such a two-dimensional thinker. After all, someone who's equally less imaginative than you might say, I don't even understand why anyone would play as a space pirate. It's not even PvP, and you're being a space pirate, you don't even get the thrill of ruining someone else's fun and stealing their shit in an ambush. Someone, Ben, could just as easily say those things, and they would be just as obtuse as you are. Come on, Ben. You're a gamer. Such lack of imagination does not become you. You're just being a dick to NPCs under the guise of law and order. Well, you know what, Ben? I think you're just being a dick to NPCs under the guise of being an ethical pirate fighting against capitalism. You see, Ben, we can do this all day, but unlike you, I actually have things to do. It's easy to paint the other side as uncharitably as possible, but you know, Ben, there are some who might say, maybe, who just might say, that it could be a mark of modest virtue to seek understanding. Ben says at least us space pirates are honest about our intentions. First off, that should be we space pirates, I think, Ben. Maybe, maybe not. Actually, I don't know, but I think it's we, not us. But all this line says to me, Ben, is that you are huffing the copium. You are unable to understand other players' intentions. You're unable to understand other players' motivations. You're unable to understand why other players of the video games might have different forms of fun than you. Take me, for instance, right? The perfect example of what a gamer should be and should strive to be. I understand the appeal in fighting games. I don't care for fighting games at all. Don't give a shit. Don't care at all about fighting games. But I can see why people like them. I'm not that big into turn-based strategy games, but I can see the appeal. I can see the element of strategy and tactics. I can understand why people really love these sorts of games. You see, using my gigantic brain, I can fathom to be empathetic about other people, to see their experience even though it isn't my experience, to imagine myself in someone else's proverbial shoes. After all, Ben, I understand 100% why you would want to be a space pirate. I think that would be really cool. I think it would be super fun. But I also see why being a space cop would be fun. It's a different kind of fun, with its own different challenges. And I can absolutely see the appeal in both of these roles. It's fun to be the cop, it's fun to be the robber, it's fun to be the cowboy, and it's fun to be the Indian. We, of course, will have our preferences. I think I would probably enjoy being a space cop more, but honestly, I'm not sure. I think a great deal of it would come down to the mechanics of the game, and the rewards for it, and how it actually is executed by Bethesda. So until then, I can't say for certain. I can only imagine. Ben goes on. We're both playing this game for a space-age power fantasy. I don't know about that, Ben. Actually, I think a lot of power fantasies get really boring. For me, personally. But you see, I understand why a lot of people would love playing a power fantasy, even though I enjoy limitations. I enjoy having to work around challenges, and I enjoy kind of having a lower power level, so it'll keep me on my toes, so that I can actually overcome obstacles that are really difficult to do. But, you know, I understand the other side. But I definitely am not going to hold it against anyone who gets the biggest ship with the biggest guns and they just go in and they eradicate everything in their path. Man, more power to you. That sounds like it could be fun, even though it's not quite my thing. But Ben says that he's the one admitting he's a bad guy. Maybe in more ways than one, Ben. I agree. Ben says if you're role-playing as a space cop, I'm going to assume that you think you're doing the right thing, that every lawbreaker in the galaxy is a good-for-nothing and belongs in prison. You don't have to assume that. It could simply be that these players enjoy the idea of enforcing laws, that they enjoy upholding justice in the galaxy, and they want to protect the innocent people, and maybe they want to express some level of aggression, some level of violence, some level of, what would be a word for it? Some level of a capacity for destruction, and take that and funnel it into a productive channel, right? There's a lot of people, I mean, this is the damsel in distress. It's an archetype as old as time itself. Well, not as that old, but for thousands of years. The hero, saving the princess, rescuing the innocent, protecting them from dragons or brigands and bandits. Very often, for thousands of years, the hero is violent. They are aggressive. They are skilled in the ways of warfare, but they use this for virtuous means. They channel these traits into something that's, that's virtuous. Someone might pick up this game and say, you know what, I want to get into gunfights. I want to blow up other ships. I want to go around and, do things that are action-packed and adventurous and dangerous, but I want to do them for a good reason. I don't want to do them for selfish reasons. I want to be able to channel that into something productive for this galaxy. And you know, if you can't understand that, Ben, then I don't know. You just don't come across as an adult to me if you can't see that line of reasoning. I think you should be much more hesitant to assume the motivations of other people that you've never met and never will meet. Ben says that you won't interrogate their motivations. You won't try to understand their motivations. You'll just arrest with impunity and try to massage your fragile ego. Oh, Ben. Oh, sweet Ben. Methinks he doth project too much. I am reading this article, and closely. And if anything, you're the one who comes across as the one with the fragile ego. For instance, I'm not certain what Starfield's breadth of role-playing options will be, but would it not be interesting if someone did role-play as a corrupt cop, right? If someone did enlist in law enforcement so that they could live out violent fantasies, so that they could use force, so that they could have power, so that they could subjugate others. And at the same time, surely, someone could potentially do the opposite, right? They join the space cops in order to be virtuous, to be the good cop, to keep the galaxy safe from space pirates, among other things. I bet there's a lot of people out there who would want to roleplay both of those things, because after all, Ben, you see, as much as you might not want to admit it, there is a difference between them. Go ahead, be a space cop, but know that you're shutting yourself off from the most exciting RPG elements in the game by not engaging with space heists and by ignoring the characters and their stories. It's an interesting thought, Ben. You know, I bet what a lot of people will do is they might, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they might have multiple playthroughs. They might have multiple characters. They might not have every playthrough be the same. After all, if you're role-playing one thing, you are shutting yourself off from being other things. But that's everything. That's a space pirate, that's a space cop, that's a space merchant, that's a space exotic dancer, that's a space anything. Every choice to do something is, in a soft way, a choice to not do other things. And many choices, I would say probably most choices, are exclusive to some degree. You can't be everything, not in one playthrough. However, let's be frank, the game is far from being out. We only know so much. I know basically nothing about the game. You are making extremely brave and bold statements about the quality of these experiences in the game that you haven't played, that we haven't really been able to delve into, that we haven't been able to explore. It could be, very possibly that space piracy, while in concept is exciting, the mechanics just don't justify. It could be boring, it could be dull, it could be repetitive, it could be predictable. We don't know. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't. And we won't know until the game's out. And, I mean, if we're going to be fair here, I don't know how being a space cop would lock you out of engaging with space heists. If anything, it does allow you to engage with space heists, just in a different way, with you trying to stop the heisters and not be a heister. And definitely, Ben, 100%. If you play as a space cop, you don't get to explore characters and their stories. You just go around and you shoot innocent people, probably black ones. You just hate everybody. You just want to shoot people. If you play as a cop, you don't care about people and their stories. But pirates definitely do. You see, pirates definitely want to do that. Sure, says Ben, you'll hear a lot about the police and the establishment, but I guarantee you that it'll be the most boring part of the game. You know what? That's an interesting guarantee. I can see you're a risk taker. Maybe that prediction will pay off. We can only imagine one day. And I would like to say that I'd go back and check and see if that's true, and, you know, whenever Starfield actually does come out, but, I mean, let's be honest, this article will be long forgotten by then. No one will give a shit. Do you go around real life finding out facts about the government and ignoring all the people on your street? Like I said, you can be anything you want to be, but if you want to be a space cop, maybe dream bigger. You know, what else can I say at this point? I think Ben is just, I think Ben's just upset. I think he just really, really hates the police. And he's sort of, like, he's lashing out against other gamers because they might want to actually play as cops in a space game. Like, I'm legitimately trying to be as good faith as possible here, and that's the only thing that really comes to mind. This article is just seething with, well, I mean, insecurity. I mean, it's kind of interesting to think about it, right? One of the reasons that so many people really hate the cops, right, is because they think that the cops unfairly generalize a broad group of different people, right? And in doing so, they overgeneralize a broad group of people themselves. It's the kind of delicious irony that you just can't get in fiction that only exists within reality among certain people. In any event, that's the end of the article. Good job, Ben Sledge. You're doing an excellent job upholding the reputation of those with pronouns in their Twitter bio. Excellent work, you've done it. I'm certain that they're very, very proud of you. Well, wasn't that fun? A nice short little article, and I didn't even ramble on for an hour on the Dogbytes channel, which is where I put my my short content. Now, guys, don't be mean to Ben. Don't be mean to sweet Ben. Ben's in a difficult point in his life right now. Ben is clearly fighting his demons, and unfortunately, sometimes that mental conflict comes out in the form of articles he writes on thegamer.net.com, whatever it is. Don't be mean to Ben, right? He needs our support in these trying times. He's doing his best. We should all wish Ben well. Good job, Ben. You can do it. Keep fighting. The struggle is real, my brother in Christ. In all seriousness, Ben, sweet Ben, I think that maybe you should, stop, relax, chill, take a moment and imagine what the world must be like from the eyes of someone else who isn't you. Imagine what it must be like to be a different person. It is, after all, the mark of intelligence to engage with hypotheticals, be they conditional or otherwise. It's probably not a good idea for you to go out in public and speak so brazenly about how you just can't imagine things that are, quite frankly, really, really easy to imagine. Sweet Ben, do not be so quick to assign moral condemnation to people when you don't really even understand what they're thinking or how they're thinking. You are a gamer, Ben, I believe. Maybe let's try and remember the age-old adage, it's just a video game. I'll be the last person to denigrate video games as a medium, of course, but sometimes I feel like we all need to step back sometimes before we have these strong opinions and remember that it is just a video game. I wish you well in your journey of self-discovery, Ben Sledge, and look forward to your work in the future. As for myself, I will be away for a little bit over a week on a vacation of sorts, I guess you could call it. While I'm away, I'll be active on Discord for all of you in my Discord. Before I head on out and wish you adieu, please do check out the podcast that I run with Mahler and Fringy, my very good friends. Every Frame a Pause. Every Saturday at 1 p.m. Central, we do a stram. We'd love to see you there. We don't just strimly do. We watch movies. We respond to super chats. We react to TV shows. It is high-tier content for high-tier audiences. You've been warned. And of course, if you'd like to support me, I have links in the description to my Patreon and Subscribestar. Every dollar you do is appreciated. It helps to pay my bills, to buy my food, to nourish and sustain me. I appreciate each and every one of you who helps support my YouTubing endeavors. Because if you don't give money to me, then I will have to become... That's right, I will have to become a space pirate. Yes, I know, it's true. I will have no choice but to engage in space piracy. I'll fly around the galaxy in my little spaceship, ambushing innocent ships, blowing them to smithereens, looting the carcasses of the spacecraft. Or maybe I'll point... I don't know if I could say some of those things on YouTube, even in jest. You know how it is in current year. You don't want me to become a space pirate, do you? I know I don't. So there, now you have a moral imperative to give me your money. In all seriousness, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys while I'm on my trip. I keep my phone with me, and it's always a joy to read what you guys have to say and chat chit. So until next time, see you later, everybody. Bye-bye.